seeing how electricity and magnetism interfaces with the brain. I'm going to tag Dr. Josh in this because he's, a neuroscientist and can tell you more.
Hey RPG, thanks for the tag as always. So yeah, we can kind of think about the brain and those neurons as electrical, even though most of that communication is done with chemicals we call neurotransmitters. That's the chemicals that one neuron uses to talk to another neuron, and ions. That's what's inside the neuron and what's fundamentally underneath things like action potentials, whether or not the neuron actually fires and then in turn talks to other neurons down the road. And now that whole process is very complicated. The communication between neurons doesn't necessarily lead to ion flow in or out of the receiving neuron. And just because ions flow in and out doesn't necessarily tell you whether that neuron's going to respond, whether it's going to have an action potential and tell something down the road to do or not do something. And in fact, for most neurons, the conditions under which they actually will fire are very specific and not frequent, meaning it's more likely a neuron doesn't fire than that it does, for the most part. And so a lot of the treatments we use, whether it's medications or things like TMS or electroshock therapy even, work by trying to adjust or change the patterns needed to get certain neurons or areas of neurons to fire. So for example, SSRIs used for depression sort of make all the connections that communicate with serotonin louder, in a sense. Really, they make them last longer, but we can do that in another video. And neurons are adaptive, meaning as things happen, the interconnects between the neurons change to adapt to what just happened so that in the future, the pattern needed to get a neuron to fire will actually change. And in that sense, it's very different from computers where generally you expect this input equals this output and it's consistent. And things like electroshock therapy or magnetic stimulation are thought to try and push the brain to change all of those interconnects so that they communicate differently in the future. And a lot of the work right now with things like TMS is to say, can we figure out sort of the location and strength and process of the magnetic stimulation to get the desired outcomes consistently that we hope to get. Happy to chat more about this topic. Throw your questions in the comments below and try to keep them brief because even the smallest piece probably is going to require a 3-minute video.